The Obama administration is sticking with its anti-ISIS strategy despite pitched battles in Syria and new threats to Baghdad itself. In Syria, the fight for Kobani is still in doubt. For now, Kurdish soldiers are holding their ground against ISIS despite fierce fighting in the heart of the city. The two sides are fighting street by street, and the town center was reportedly being shelled overnight. Despite new airstrikes in the area, Secretary of State John Kerry made it clear Kobani isn't a priority.
Kobani is one community, and it's a tragedy of what is happening there. And we don't diminish that. But we have said from day one, it is going to take a period of time to bring the coalition thoroughly to the table, to rebuild some of the morale and capacity of the Iraqi army, and to begin to focus where we ought to be focusing first, which is in Iraq.
Well, with the U.S. focusing on Iraq, the administration had hoped Turkey would lend a hand in Syria. That hasn't happened, but DoD officials say Turkey has now agreed to let the U.S. use its bases. Initial reporting indicated that it includes a major base just 100 miles from the Syrian border. However, Turkish officials say this morning that those talks are ongoing. That could be a boost to the air campaign in Syria and Iraq, where ISIS is seizing more territory near the capital. The head of the Anbar Provincial Council says 80% of the western Iraqi province is now under ISIS control. Militants also claimed credit for weekend bombings in Baghdad, the Anbar province in northern Iraq, that killed more than 70 people. And over the weekend, Joint Chiefs Chairman Martin Dempsey said the U.S. had to call in Apache helicopters to keep ISIS fighters from reaching Baghdad's main airport. Nevertheless, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says the capital itself is safe.
Iraqi security forces are in full control of Baghdad, continue to strengthen their positions in Baghdad.
Meanwhile, National Security Advisor Susan Rice continues to insist that the U.S. won't send ground troops in, but not everyone is ready to take that option off the table.
We'll do our part from the air and in many other respects in terms of building up the capacity of the Iraqis and the Syrian opposition, the moderates. But we are not going to be in a ground war again in Iraq.
Would we be more effective against ISIS if we had U.S. troops on the ground spotting targets, if we had those ground control?
Yeah, there will be circumstances when the answer to that question will likely be yes. But I haven't encountered one right now.
Steve Clemons is Washington editor-at-large for The Atlantic. Steve, thanks for joining me this morning.
Good to be with you, Kristen.
So why are we still hearing this disconnect between National Security Advisor Susan Rice and General Dempsey?
Well, I think there are two reasons. One, I think that from a military efficacy perspective, I think people like General John Allen right now, who is our front lead in organizing U.S. forces and the coalition against ISIS and have put together a formidable intelligence operation, nonetheless see that ISIS has been able to quickly move, pivot, change course and direction, and despite, having succeeded in some places like around Erbil in Mosul, ISIS has moved elsewhere. And it raises the question, when you see something as tragic as Kobani unfolding, why wouldn't ground forces be more useful? But politically, both at home, but also in the region, if you deployed U.S. ground forces into this mess, it's exactly what ISIS would like to see, because it gives them the legitimacy with other Sunnis to say, yet again, the West is coming into our land, and it will help them fuel their recruiting.
Let's talk about what's happening in Iraq specifically. The U.S. says Iraq is its priority. You heard the Secretary of State make that point. According to some reports, 80% of the Anbar province is under control of ISIS. So what happens if the province does in fact fall? Can Baghdad stand, and how significant would that loss be, Steve?
Well, Baghdad could withstand it because you've got a very different balance of population in Baghdad. Baghdad will be under threat. Baghdad could be attacked, but the difference in population mix between Sunni and Shia is quite different. What worries me about Anbar, which was, of course, one of our hot spots when the U.S. attacked and invaded Iraq and governed Iraq, is that Anbar is a huge swath of territory, and it basically helps further at least ISIS's apparent claims of creating sort of a new vast territory that it controls. What is worrisome is we've seen one base in Anbar abandoned again by Iraq military forces. There is another major base that hasn't been abandoned, but we're seeing, despite really hundreds of billions of dollars that the United States has spent arming and training Iraq military forces, that they are collapsing in different places. And what the equilibrium between their interests in being able to fight and deter and take territory back from ISIS has been very disappointing. And I think that this is something that's going to call for a different strategy. And I've been saying on your show and elsewhere, you know, in Afghanistan, when the Soviets invaded, Saudi Arabia took a lead in organizing tribes, the Mujahideen, against the Soviets. Where is the Saudi intelligence operation now organizing Sunni tribes and Sunni leaders against ISIS? That is the missing dimension of this. We talk about what the United States can do. We really need to focus on the fact that our legitimacy with many of these players is very low, and that we need to see much more engagement of other key international stakeholders in that region.
All right, Steve Clemons, great insight as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen.